It is true, the Quran, chapter 19, verses 27 to 28, points to a group of people who describe Mary, that's the mother of Jesus, as the sister of Aaron. However, Muhammad has already explained this verse and taught us that it is not meant to be taken literally. Our friend David Wood, to his credit, does showcase Muhammad's explanation. You can read it for yourself, but I will paraphrase. Essentially, Muhammad teaches us that the expression is simply an idiom, a figure of speech utilized by the said community in the past. So what this said community did, they would base their names and titles around apostles and pious personalities of the past who had gone before them. Now, David Wood claims there is no historical record of such a custom or practice in the past. Nevertheless, he is mistaken, but due to David not seeing historical evidence of this practice, he claims Muhammad simply made this explanation up in order to save face. So, essentially, all we need to do for David to rethink his views is provide him with historical evidence of such a practice. Well, that is the easy bit. Let us open up the Gospel of Mark. This is my favorite verse in this Gospel. Chapter 3, verse 35. Do read it to make sure I'm not misrepresenting the verse. Essentially, we realize Jesus is teaching us that whoever does the will of God is the brother, sister, or mother of Jesus. Now, let us look at Mary Magdalene. She's considered a pious lady. She did the will of God. Thus, she is the sister of Jesus according to Jesus' pronouncements in the Gospel of Mark, despite not being the literal sister of Jesus. The same applies for Esther. Now, Esther did not even live during the same period as Jesus. So, what we realize here is Jesus is using the same idiomatic phraseology that the Quran in chapter 19 uses. The same phraseology that Muhammad alluded to in his explanation. Another quick example concerning Mark chapter 3 verse 35. A pious lady down the road in London, 2010, doing the will of God, would be considered the sister of Jesus, despite not even being a contemporary of Jesus. Enough said. This should be more than sufficient historical evidence to back Muhammad's explanation. So David Wood, if he is intellectually honest, will retract his claims against Muhammad. I will give David a few other points of evidence. Jesus is the son of David in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 21, verse 9. Elizabeth is a daughter of Aaron. In Luke chapter 1 verse 5, even though Elizabeth is not the literal daughter of Aaron, she's described as the daughter of Aaron. The same applies to Jesus. Being the son of David, he's not the literal son of David. So these are idiomatic phrases used by the Bible. So now David has his historical evidence, which he could not find previously. Like I said, the historical evidence that I have presented David should be more than sufficient. I hope he is intellectually honest and retracts his claims now. To be thorough, let us run through David's other argumentation. David brings up Ibn Kathir's commentary on the said verse and points to the misunderstandings of one Muslim, that's Aisha, concerning this verse. She took this verse literally initially. But David does not point to the fact that she only took it literally because she had not heard Muhammad's explanation, the explanation that teaches us that it is a figure of speech and not literal. David also misses the fact that Ka'b, a companion of Muhammad, did not even need Muhammad's explanation in order to realize that it was not meant to be taken literally. Ka'b already knew that Mary and Aaron were not contemporaries. Moreover, the commentators, as pointed out by George Sale, also knew Mary and Aaron were not contemporaries, never mind literal brother and sister. And as you know, David, the commentators reflect the general understanding of the early Muslims. So it's extremely disingenuous of David Wood to point to Aisha's initial literal stance and pass it off as indicative of the early Muslim community as a whole, when the evidence does not support David Wood at all. David Wood makes a big conflation and hoo-ha around the name Imran. He points out that the name of Aaron's father is Imran. And he also points to Islamic sources which call the father of the father of Mary by the name Imran as well. He then claims this to be evidence to support his claim that the Quran taught Mary to be the literal sister of Aaron. No, this is far from the case, David. David either does not know the name of Mary's father is Imran as well, or he just withholds this crucial information from his audience in order to misdirect them down the path of conjecture. So let me explain. Both Aaron and Mary happened to have fathers named Imran. So Islamic sources are completely correct to call Mary the daughter of Imran. It does not mean that Islamic sources are claiming Aaron and Mary to be brother and sister. As simple as that. They both had fathers named Imran. But David withholds this information, this key information, in order to build upon his conjecture. So again, we have already seen Muhammad, Ka'b and the commentators have already differentiated between Aaron and Mary. From this differentiation, we realize Mary and Aaron are not literal brother and sister. We also realize they are not even contemporaries. Thus, they are not going to have the same father, despite both fathers sharing the same name. It's not uncommon to have two individuals having fathers who share the same name. So David Wood brought nothing to the table apart from conjecture and conspiracy theories. I would like to see David be intellectually honest enough as well as reasonable enough to accept Muhammad's explanation, because all the historical evidence does back Muhammad up. We brought him evidence from the Bible. We brought him the Gospel of Mark, chapter 3, verse 35. You just cannot argue with that, because Jesus here in this verse is using the same idiomatic expression that is used in the Quran, chapter 19. So I hope David is fair and balanced enough to do this and consistent enough to do this. But I would like to point David's attention to some genuine confusion here. The Trinitarians may have some confusion here because they believe Jesus to be the literal Son of God, right? Now, why in the world is he described as the son of David? Moreover, is an immaculate conception being pushed aside? Because he's also described as the son of Joseph. None of this makes any sense at all. Why in the world would the Son of God want to be described as the son of David? Is David God? Why in the world would he want to be described as the son of Joseph? Is Joseph God? What in the world is going on here, David? Perhaps you would like to spend more time clearing away or focusing on this type of confusion rather than spewing out conjecture-based attacks on Islam.